is so enormous. He is so much in the national development. The next panelist is Mrs. Morenike Tejuade Babington-Ashaye. She is a chartered accountant, also a tax practitioner of international repute. She is founding member of Chartered of Tax and also the chairmanship ASAS Accounting Education and a company that has contributed in no small measure to tax development as chairman of Ogun State Inland Revenue Service. And Mrs. Babington-Ashaye has really played so many roles in national development. It's my pleasure to also go to the next panelist, Dr. Nnorom Goodluck, who is a great man from Abia. He is a lecturer in Business Administration and Marketing Department, Babcock University. He is a professional researcher, writer, and social commentator. Dr. Goodluck has done a lot in the area of contributions to the society. He is the director of Gion Aid, a humanitarian organization, as well as sponsor of Classic Football Academy in Ogun State. He is a director of Trend Today, a startup that is focused on news reportage. Our next person is our moderator, Mr. Omitogun, who is the managing director of East Plus Systems Limited, specializing in business development. He has actually given us a bit out of so many things they are doing. I will say he gives to this nation. Apart from all this political and mobilization, he is a man of God. He is an author, international repute, and is happily married. It's my pleasure to be here and also to introduce this eminent Nigerian to all of us today. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Oderinde. We are actually supposed to, as each panelist is being introduced, they are supposed to actually raise up their hands so that we can know who they are. I'll start with Dr. Wale Okediran. Can you raise up your hand, Dr. Wale Okediran, please? Just wave your hands. Okay, you're welcome. Mrs. Morenike Babington-Ashaye, please raise up your hand, please. Mrs. Morenike Babington-Ashaye, can you raise up your hand to be recognized? Oh, you're welcome, madam. Dr. Nnorom Goodluck, please, can you raise up your hands, please? Good. And the person that just read the biographies profiles of the participants is Mr. Joshua MR ODERINDE. Please, can you raise up your hands, please? You're welcome. We're going to go into this. You all have the program of events. We're going to run this program for the next 1.5 hours. After that, we'll have questions from the audience. After that, we'll let us know what these things, what they are going to do this for. So the questions that we're going to ask is for everyone, everybody. Well, I will start with, as the profile were read, I will start with Dr. Okediran, please. Dr. Okediran, please, are you with me? Can you still raise up your hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are hearing me. Okay, please unmute. Okay, you have unmuted your mic. Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Okediran.
Oh, good afternoon, distinguished panelists. I bring you greetings from Accra, Ghana, where I currently work, and to say that we are discussing political development in Nigeria. An important event is taking place here in Accra with the visit of the Speaker of the House of Reps, Honorable Femi Gbadabe-Amila. I just left him and his entourage at the Nigerian High Commission. So you can see that politics is an everyday event. And those of you who have been following the news, you will note that some Nigerian traders are having some issues with the Ghanaian authorities here in Ghana. And that was why the Speaker had to come. And as a former member of the House, I was on his entourage to the Ghanaian Speaker yesterday. So it's a good place to start this conversation and to let you know that I'm happy to be here and I'm looking forward to a very robust discussion. Thank you.
You are welcome, Mr. Dr. Wale Okediran. And I would like Mrs. Morenike Babington-Ashaye to identify herself and one or two things about her regarding her work. Please. Mrs. Morenike Babington-Ashaye, unmute your mic and then let's hear from you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omitogun. Morenike Tejuade Babington-Ashaye is my name. I'm the president of the International Center for Tax Research and Development. And as a tax specialist, the interest of politics is paramount because we believe so much in the Constitution, what the government has to do, what the people have to do, and how that must be done. So I show a lot of interest. I'm highly interested in politics that we make sure that our commonwealth is well utilized. And that is the purpose of my being interested in this program. And I look forward to a fruitful deliberation, a deliberation that hopefully and it will bring a sort of change, good change and transformation to our nation. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next is Dr. Nnorom Goodluck. Please, can you unmute your mic and then let us know the purpose and the objective of this being here?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Wale. I am Nnorom Goodluck, Dr. Nnorom Goodluck. I lecture at Babcock University in Ileshan Remo, Ogun State. And I have interest in politics as a young person. The reason I have interest in politics is over time, I have come to observe that our representatives at different levels have not been able to measure up. Some are trying their best, while there are different obstacles that are affecting them in trying to meet up with their campaign mandate. And so a program like this is a very good avenue to air my views as regards what Nigerian politics is. And I hope that through this platform, we'll be able to have a change of mindset as regards how politics should run in our dear country.
Thank you, Dr. Goodluck. Now, we're going to, I'll start with Dr. Okediran. The question goes in this form. The first part is a kind of a brief about the discussion, about the question. Then the question follows. When it gets to the question, I'll let you know. And now, political development can be defined as political mobilization. It is an increase in national political unity and an increase in political mobilization. Now, this is the question. Since there are increase in national political unity and an increase in political participation, are we developing politically as a nation? If yes, give reason. If no, give reason. Over to you, Dr. Okediran.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's like the Dr. Gideon said. Okay. Dr. Gideon, your phone is hanging. I mean, your video is hanging. Or maybe it's my own hand here. Can everybody hear him? If you can hear him, just raise up your hand.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Me, not me. Him, doctor. The one speaking.
Oh, we cannot. I cannot hear Dr. Okediran here, but I can hear you, sir.
Okay, I think he has his phone. I mean, maybe he's speaking from Ghana. Although irrespective of that, his line should be true. But then let's shift over to you. This is Morenike Babington. Once Dr. Okediran back, once he gets back, he will now attend to his question. Mrs. Morenike Babington, can you please take up? Do you understand my question? That's the first question. Are you there? Mrs. Babington? Okay, she's not, I think she's not there. Okay, over to you, Dr. Goodluck. Can you take it up? Let's start from you then.
Okay, if I got you right, you're asking, since we have an increase in national political unity and increase in political participation, are we really developing politically?
Yes.
If yes or no? I'll tell you that we are not developing politically. All right. The reason I would say that we are not developing politically is because over the years, we have not seen the dividends of political participation. To participate in politics has to do with the electorate and then the representatives. And if the representatives have given their mandates that by so and so year, or by the end of this particular period, we should be able to have this, have this, have this, and have that. Now, at the end of a particular period, when you look at the scorecard, and you begin to see that the promises that have been made by a representative, depending on the political party, have not been met. And so, looking at that, I can't say we are developing politically. We still have a long way to go. We still have a long way to go. The people who might be enjoying the dividends of politics might be people who have themselves as party chieftains, or the people that have say in a particular political party. But when you move away from political party issue and then you come to the electorate who needs to benefit from maybe infrastructural development, educational advancement and all, we are not seeing all this. And so I can't say that we are developing politically. We have a long way to go in that regard.
Okay. We have a long way to go, like you said. Mrs. Ashaye, you are on now. Can you attend to that question that I posted, question number 1 I posted just before you rose up?
Okay. For me, politically, we have not developed. As a matter of fact, it's as if we are moving 100 years backward. Because when you talk about political development, you want to be able to see that political party formation, there had been a change from the past. You want to be able to see how public affairs are treated, how people are politically empowered, women and youth, how they are inclusive in government, the eradication of corruption, stealing of public funds. You see, the kind of political system we have now is as if we are setting up a business venture for politicians. And political party owners, those who form the associations, believe that they spend money to get to a position. And once they get to that position, they have every right to reap from the position they are in. So we have not been able to have leaders who can give our people psychological safety. You can see, for instance, that the second term of the president. Maybe the president has not even used 1 year of second term. Now the politicians are out talking about 2023, and they have already started saving for 2023. We have not even been able to have any pleasure from the 2019 election we have. So this kind of attitude, you know, imagine all the issue of who is becoming president in 2023. They are not even giving us peace of mind with the money we spent on the election. They are not giving us the service that we require. We have 3 tiers, or we have 3 arms of government: the legislature, the judiciary, the executive. But we now say that we find that the executive actually monopolized everything. The legislators are so scared, they are so afraid of the executive, they cannot do their work. They know there are constitutional violations. Instead of them to take steps to make sure that they limit the power of the executive. The executive does not go beyond the power the Constitution has listed. But they keep quiet. They are there, they are serving their political parties. They are not serving us as our representatives. So for me, I don't think I can even give them 10%, you know, for political development. Thank you.
Okay, let me take you up on that. Are you saying that now that what happened since 1980 during Shagari regime, which is the Second Republic, you know, and what is happening now with all the issues that are happening now, we are not really gaining any ground, we're not improving at all. It means that what we're doing in year 1980 and what we're doing in 2020, the difference between is not much. Is that what you are implying?
Definitely. You can imagine during the Shagari era, one of the ministers, you know, told us that we haven't seen anything yet. We have not yet started eating from the dustbin. And you can see these people, this era now, that they will take loans for infrastructure. We wouldn't see the infrastructure. We'll be hearing billions and billions and billions of fraud, of deceit, of embezzlement. You know, you can imagine the transport minister telling us that they have a contract of about 33 billion. And later telling the legislators that, oh, the real contract is 1.6. You can imagine that gap. So what happens between 1.6 and the 33 billion they were telling us that they have? So we are not having politicians who have national interest. They are so self-centered.
Okay, I think Dr. Okediran has come back. I want him to say something regarding the question I asked him, you know, before he went out. You know, I hope you are listening to me. Since you are smiling, since you are hearing.
Yes.
Me. Okay, good.
Yes, I can hear you.
Can I repeat the question, or you understand it?
I understand it.
Okay, please, let's hear your view. Please.
I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I had issues with the internet, so it's back now. Yes, I was trying to answer your question whether we are developing politically or not. And I started by saying that there are 2 groups of actors when it comes to politics. We have the electorate and we have the elected. The electorate normally elects the elected. And from my own experience in politics, both sides have their faults. Because, like somebody said, I think it was Socrates, that the punishment for those who refuse to be involved in politics is that they will be governed by idiots. To say that if those who are supposed to elect people into office do not play their part, then they will deserve the kind of politicians, they will get the kind of politicians they deserve. It's easy for people to blame politicians for every problem, not forgetting that most of the time, a country gets the kind of leaders it deserves. Because when you refuse to get involved in politics, you say, I don't want to go into politics, or I don't want to go for election, I don't want to go for, to have any say in campaigns because you don't like politics. Then at the end of the day, you have no right to blame if people that come into politics are below your standard. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're going to measure political development, we have to measure the contribution of both the electorate and those who elect into office. For me, in Nigeria, I mean, I was in the National Assembly more than 12 years ago, and I can say that events of the last 12 years have shown that we are not making much progress politically. But instead of apportioning blames, because in Nigeria, we are experts in apportioning blames, but we have no idea on how to advise the way forward. For me, the way forward, the way to improve the political development in this country is for everybody to be more involved in the process of politics. I'm not saying that all of us should be party carrying members. That is not possible. But we should not ignore what we should do as citizens. When you are over 18, you must have a voter's card. It's embarrassing that so many people in Nigeria will tell you that they don't care about election. So they will not have voter's card. And then you not turn around and say you have bad politicians. So we need to advise both groups, those elected into office and the electorate, to be more active in putting in their best to make sure that those who go into office are the best in their society and not just people who go there for ulterior motives. That's my position for now.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Wale Okediran. Still on the same question. I think everybody knows this balance. It's actually fine. They said a town or a country of the blinds is led by one blind man. Now, if you are asking for political, are you now saying that okay? I want Dr. Goodluck to answer this one. He said the problem is with us all, meaning that are we really blind that we don't know the difference between a good leadership and a leader that is just going to be there to amass wealth for himself or for ourselves? Are we a country of the blind, no knowledge, no understanding, that we just allow people to go in and then they participate and do whatever it is and they are all free to do anything? Over to you, Dr. Goodluck.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tunde. I appreciate the question. First things first, I would say that we are not a country of the blind, all right? Nigerians are wonderful people. We are not a country of the blind. In fact, to be very honest with you, a lot of us actually understand what is going on. But I will tell you where the challenge is. I want to thank Mr. Wale for his input, for his comments on the fact that he has been in the assembly for a lot of years now. Now, there's something I need us to understand. When it comes to politics, you discover that a lot of people believe that politics, as they say, is a dirty game, all right? Is a game of rubbing hands, rubbing palms, because you want to get to a particular position and you have to begin to please certain people who have posed themselves in quotes as godfathers. If they don't step into the matter, you won't be able to get into power and all. And you see, because of some of these issues, some of us who are now interested in politics will begin to relax. By the time you are given certain conditions that you are supposed to meet before you get into the political sphere, people like us who are interested in politics, we begin to retract, we begin to go back, because sometimes the requirements are very stringent. Now, we are not a country of the blind. Sometimes we know that some leaders are dubious. We know that some leaders, based on past records, have not done well. But the electorates are handicapped in the sense that even if the electorate come out and speak against whoever candidate that wants to go in, maybe based on past records, you discover that the godfathers in quotes will have a way of either rigging the election or causing violence in a particular area, so that people who are supposed to come out and vote, because of the issue of safety of their lives, will not come out and vote. At the end of the day, their candidate will still get into the post or the position. And every year we keep seeing this happen over and over and over again. So that makes a lot of people who want to become really interested in politics, it makes them to just sit back and relax. Because even if we go and get our PVCs, even if we come out and queue under the sun, under the rain, irrespective of security challenges, the candidate that they want in terms of the godfathers will still get into the position. And so why would I have to stress myself to come out and say I want to vote for this candidate? So to be very honest, we are not a country of the blind. But when you look at situations, when you look at things that have happened in terms of election violence, security issues, in fact, people lose their lives during elections, all right? So some people would decide to say, oh, instead of losing my life, I better just sit in my house. And then when the election is over, I come out. I try to contribute as far as I can. If they will listen to me, fine. So I'm saying this because Mr. Wale said, you don't participate in politics and then you don't expect anything good, in quote. That's not his word, but that's his idea, that you don't expect anything good from any candidate that you have not elected. The reason people may not want to come out to elect anybody is because of the violence involved in elections, the security issues, the rigging of election results and the rigging of the votes. And then sometimes, like I said, the godfathers would always have a way of putting their own candidates into the positions. And so people tend to just relax. We are not blind. We know what is going on, but we love our lives. And sometimes we just stay back. Thank you, sir.
I think, although I have other questions regarding this, but then let me just summarize what three of you have said. Number one, Goodluck said, because of the godfather, what they do and how they put their own people. Dr. Wale said, the people allow them. Mrs. Ashaye said also that most of the politicians, all what they promise is not what they delivered. Now, three things are involved there. This is not question, this question is for you to be answered because we have so many questions coming up. It's for you to be answered. Maybe if you have a pen, write it down later on before the end of the program. Does it mean that poverty, because if you are poor, is then the godfather can manipulate you? Number one. Number two, does it mean that it's lack of education, you don't have knowledge? If you don't have knowledge, lack of education, what is good, you tell me to be bad. What is bad, you tell me to be good, depending on the way they show it to you. And number three, finally, are you saying that what it is practice what you preach? Those godfathers that are doing what they are doing learn from the previous godfathers of what they were doing, of what they did. My question is, are these three things issues involved? We will answer those questions toward the end of the program. Let's go to the next question first. Because in the subsequent questions, you might end up answering these these are my questions. Now I'm going to start from Mrs. Ashaye. Are you with me, madam? Mrs.
Yes,
Ashaye, are you? Okay. This is the brief. Development refers to progress or improvement in lifestyle. Okay. Development refers to progress or improvement in lifestyle. Different persons can have different developmental goals. This means Nigeria must have collectively same goals. Question: what do you think should be our goal to be developed or to be on the path of national development? Are we achieving it or not? Over to you.
Well, for me, I would like to see us creating a new nation, because this nation that we have at the moment, when the British was here, they built a bungalow. Now, when it was turned to us, we started building 10 floors on the structure of a bungalow. And that is why you find that the nation will never stand, because the foundation is rotting. The foundation that we have, that we are building on at the moment, is not for collective advantage of all the nations that make Nigeria. Because first of all, we must understand that we did not bring ourselves together. We were brought together by selfish interest of the British. So if we really need development, our goal, our first goal must be creating a nation of our own, where all of us can understand each other. We can know what we want and how we should go about it. There must be an agreement. That is one. We must be prepared to build an egalitarian society where there is equity, where everybody is happy. There's no reason why anybody should be poor in our country. So we must remove self-centeredness. We cannot afford to hand over our country to politicians. No, we cannot. Because the way it is now is as if politicians, and they have colonized us. That is the way it is at the moment. We must be able to define political geography, you know, with the issue of elections, like how do we empower people? If a political party is asking for 100 million to buy a nomination paper, who will go there? So it's important for us to be able to know the relationship between governments and the people. We must be able to determine what do we want government to do for us. Not that government will make us useless, as if everything, we cannot think, we can't do anything, government has to do everything for us. No. People must be able to determine what do we need government to do for us, and what should be the relationship between the federal, the state, and the local governments. And how do we get government reporting back on activities? For me, I have suggested that we must have a sort of National Constitutional Council that will represent the people and will be on top of all this executive, legislative, and judiciary. We must have a good constitutional court of justice. Anything that affects the Constitution should not go to ordinary court, should go to Constitutional Court of Justice. And we must be able, it's important for us to know the limit, the power limit of a president, the power limit of a vice president, the power limit of a governor. Everything in the Constitution at the moment now is just so wild and so wide and so open. So if you that's why everybody is fighting to become president. If you are president, you know you can do anything you like. You can call the military to go and kill villagers in a village. You can, you know, do anything you want. So we must have goals that will enable us to develop. And those are the ones that I have enumerated for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Ashaye. Over to you, Dr. Goodluck. Unmute your mic, please. Unmute your mic.
Okay, yes. I want to borrow the ideology of Martin Luther when there was this issue between the blacks and the whites back so many years ago. And then he said he has a dream that one day that there would be a kind of, relationship and understanding between the whites and the blacks. And then the blacks can participate freely in affairs of the state as the whites would also participate. And now when you bring that ideology into Nigeria, for me, talking about goals of national development, I want, first of all, like Madam said, to create a new Nigeria. But this Nigeria has to be a Nigeria that would allow free participation, irrespective of gender, irrespective of tribe. There is nothing like you are from the north, you are from the south, you are from the east, you are Igbo, you are Yoruba, you are Hausa. That is if we are truly going to develop as a nation. There is need for us to remove sentiment. So for me, one goal has to be to have a Nigeria that allows equal participation in the affairs of the nation. So this is not about we are born to rule and then some people are born to suffer. No, that is one of the goals as far as I'm concerned. Then for this to be achieved, there is also need for us to have a structure in place, a structure that would engage the Nigerians, that will get Nigerians in proper political education. To be honest with you, even though there are challenges with election, crisis and all in Nigeria, a lot of Nigerians lack proper knowledge in the area of political education. And that is why during elections, it is easy for the contestants to come and share 5,000 naira, distribute some cups of rice with onions to them, and then immediately they eat and then they vote for them, and then they go back impoverished for the next 4 years, and then they will come back again and begin to campaign again. So lack of proper political education is a problem. And for me, that should be a goal. Political education needs to be in place. And for political education to be in place, a lot of institutions that makes up this Nigeria needs to function. Public institutions needs to function. It is not like, it shouldn't be the everyday public office where a public officer comes to work at 12 o'clock and leaves at 2 o'clock and then expects to get salary at the end of the month. That is robbing Peter to pay Paul, because at the end of the day, we are not putting in the kind of work expected. So for me, a Nigeria that will allow free participation, a Nigeria that will encourage political education of the citizens. We need to know our rights. We need to know the extent of our rights. We need to know what it takes to participate in politics. And then we decide to say, oh, are we going to vote this person or not? Because we lack the right political education, some of us in error voting the wrong people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Dr. Okediran, over to you.
Oh, thank you very much. I've been enjoying the discussion. I will start off from the last speaker, Dr. Goodluck, on the need for political education. I think it's very important because when you look at it, is people sometimes I won't say they are mischievous. I'll just say they are not being true to themselves. When you talk of corruption, you put with the number of corruption cases in the last 3 years, you agree with me, it's gone around all the sectors. We know what happened in the judiciary, how many judges have been indicted, even up to the Supreme Court level. We go to the universities, you know how many vice chancellors have been in tried for corruption ongoing in Lagos among the indiscriminate corruption that is going on. This is just to show us that the malice of this country is not only in the among the politicians, it's among all of us. Dr. Goodluck mentioned it. Public officers don't go to work. I was a member of a university council until 2 years ago, and I could see the rots in the university system. When we go for council meetings, problems of corruption, people, university lecturers and professors who rose through the ranks with forged certificates. Some of them who abuse their students for marks. So we need an overhaul, political and moral education for the country. And until we do that, the development we are looking for will not come. Secondly, the issue of constitution, laws, I've been overflogged. Like somebody said, the problem is in our stars. However beautiful the constitution of this country, as long as individual Nigerians refuse to change, nothing will happen. Continue to correct the constitution every day. Continue. Nothing will happen. Look, we've tried the parliamentary system before. Why did it land us? Those of us who are old enough to remember the days of the Operation Wet here in the old Western region, was it not under the parliamentary rule? We are now joined the US democratic style. People are saying that no, let's go back to parliamentary. What happened when we are in parliamentary? So my own stake is that it's not a matter of rules or laws. It's a matter of inner change. And then lastly, I also believe that, I think I'm quoting one former political leader who said that democracy is difficult to practice in a climate of poverty. Until we improve the standard of living of our people, democracy will be difficult to practice. Because when you go to vote, people are hungry. Some of them will give you their voter's card for just a loaf of bread. They will say, take it, we don't need it, I want to eat now. Some people, it's so easy to corrupt them because they are poor and they are looking for money. So we need to start from the basics. Let's improve the lot of Nigerians. Let's bridge the gap between the haves and have-nots. And let's put in places structures. When some of us were young, we had the railway system working. We could go from Lagos to Kano with little or nothing by train. At that time, it doesn't matter how big, you don't even need cars. You don't need to have big four-wheel drives. All you need is just about 20 pence, go to railway station, enter the station, and you get your destination. All this must be brought back. So for me, development is both political and moral. And for this to happen, all Nigerians in every sector, whether you are a lecturer, whether you are a religious leader, a community leader, even you go to some civil service, some secretariats now, people are doing business in the secretariats. You want to look for a contract, 20% of your money. You won't get any contract done in some of our ministries. Are those politicians? So these are issues that I think we must face. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wale Okediran. This question goes to Mrs. Ashaye. From all the three of you, Mrs. Ashaye said egalitarian society, equal society. Dr. Wale Okediran and Dr. Goodluck hammer on society not being poor and society being educated or being politically educated. Now, the question or the issue is this. If you say we are so corrupt and we're not that educated, why is it that when a Nigerian leaves Nigeria and goes to America or United States or UK or Asia, he will behave normally and align to that society? Why does it take that short time to transcend from being a badly attituded person to societally aligning person when he gets to another society? Madam, over to you.
Well, the reason is not far-fetched. Dr. Goodluck Kelechi mentioned that we need both political and moral education. Mr. Okediran talks about poverty. I want us to understand that poverty is created by the society, not by God. And the moral education, which when we were in primary school, we were doing civic, we were being told stories, we were being told, so many things, whether from the Bible, whether from literature, there was time that the teacher would spend with students telling stories and bringing out usefulness in that story. That now, storytelling or moral education does not exist now. Dr. Kelechi mentioned that in public offices, people are now beginning to trade. I think it was Dr. Kelechi who said that. Yes, it is right. Even when I was chairman of Ogun State Internal Revenue, when I got there, that was the first thing I had to fight, because I was wondering, if you are being paid for this job, why are you doing another job? Apart from their even selling their own property, you find situations when you go to government offices, they use government offices to do government job for personal consideration. That is even worse. They have their own consultancy unit doing government job for their own personal benefit. So when you see that an environment has not been properly created, citizens will work within that environment. When you in the past, when you go to our banks and you are on the queue, if anybody should come in, or maybe want to go forward, we'll push that person back and say, go and join the queue, But now, even if you are just coming, you find situations that you will quickly be approached, you will be taken inside the room because maybe you are rich, because maybe you are a governor, or you are president, or you are chairman, that they know they can get benefits from you. So it is the environment that dictates how people behave. So we need to have that moral, political, economic education at a younger age, so that our people, and there must be examples. Those who are leading must show by examples. If you need to kill, you should kill. If you need to do whatever you are assigned to do, you should do that work properly. There is no reason why Nigerians cannot behave well in our environment, if that environment is conducive, like it was said earlier, that politicians will come with rice and onion. Some people will sell their voters card and say, I'm hungry, just give me money, I want to eat now. Why should that be in Nigeria? When some people are earning 30 million naira a month, some state governors are saying they cannot pay 30,000 naira. And we all know that 30,000 naira cannot take you more than 1 week in this country. So it is the environment. It is how we develop our society, how we develop our environment. So the Nigerians that are leaving Nigeria for outside the country, by the time they get there, they see that there is, the environment is different, and they just have to, follow that environment. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ashaye. Let's look at it this way. Dr. Wale Okediran, you are in Ghana now, and there has been an issue between Nigerians traders. It's not between, I won't say between Nigerian traders and government. I'll probably say there have been issues that are put forward, and Nigerians traders are being ejected or asked to do some things that's beyond normal trading structure in Ghana. Can you relate that one to what's happening, is happening there now, to the issue of Nigeria? Is it that those Nigerians were at fault, or is it say, like they say, that is whatever thing you do in your house that will get you outside, that you behave the same way outside? Are they misbehaving? Or is it because that their government is against the traders? Or is it because of the intergovernmental or political issues between Nigeria and Ghana? I just wanted to keep that one in. Dr. Wale Okediran, please. Dr. Wale Okediran. Okay, I think he's not there. Okay, no problem. Let's go to the question. This third question would go to, I think it should go to Dr. Wale Okediran, but I don't know why. Maybe it's offline again, or I know his line is having problem. But I will refer it back to Dr. Goodluck. Goodluck Nnorom. Political issues in Nigeria are roadblocks for a strong democracy in Nigeria at all levels of government. What are these political issues? How can we resolve them? Or we don't have political issues at all? Over to you.
Okay, we have political issues, trust me. And so because of some of these political issues, that is why we have not been able to develop politically as a country. Talking about these political issues, I want to start with one that we all know, that we all know, and that is one, corruption. All right, corruption. Let's move away from when I mean corruption, I don't want to really limit the idea of corruption to just the people who are elected to represent us. I'm going to speak about corruption based on the both sides of the divide, and that is the electorate and then the elected. Now, when you talk about corruption, there are a lot of issues as regards corruption, even amongst the electorate. It's so unfortunate that maybe because someone is holding a public office, and that is why when there is an issue of corruption, it goes straight to the media. But when you go deep inside, when you begin to do a forensic analysis of what is happening, even with us that are the electorate, we begin to see that there are a lot of dirty issues that tend to, affect us. And these dirty issues relate more to corruption. I'll give you an example. I walked into a public office one day. I'm supposed to get an affidavit, and I'm supposed to pay for this affidavit quite all right. And so after making the necessary payments and all for the affidavit, the clerk or the person who's supposed to attend to me after I brought the receipt and all, who's supposed to attend to me, told me that I have to pay for paper or for typing. You understand? And I know that the money I have paid for the affidavit should have covered for that. And I'm part of the corruption because I needed the affidavit. I had to pay. I didn't want to start shouting and say, you're corrupt. Why will you collect money from me? And all. I paid and I walked away. Another instance, just last week, there was an issue. I was at the police station in the area where I live. And after we resolved the issue, got everything settled and all, got the bills sorted out, an officer on duty said, we're not going to go because we need to pay for the exercise book that was used to jot the cases down. I need to pay for the exercise book and the biro. And, I'm sure some of us have some of these experiences with our people. So corruption is a problem, as far as I'm concerned. It's a problem, and it's affecting Nigerian politics. In fact, it is corruption that would make a politician to come to me during the time of election, give me money, give me food and all, and I will collect, and then I will sell my votes to him. It is corruption. hunger is part of it, but I want to see it as corruption, because if you look at some of the people who participate in maybe collecting these food items and money from these politicians, there are people that are, if you see them in society, they are well-to-do, but somehow they believe that they must be engaged in one or two negative activities in order to sustain, their wealth or sustain their influence in the society. And so when you come to a particular community, you have people that you have to meet. They are the people you will give food items to. They are the people you will give money to share to other people. They are not poor. They are doing fine. They are on salaried jobs and they are getting their salary as it should. But somehow there is this sweetness in corrupt money. There is this, beautiful thing about corrupt money that is making a lot of us to remain in this corruption. And so, while I'm going to blame the candidates or the contestants for issue of corruption, I'm also going to blame the populace, the electorate, for also being corrupt and allowing corruption to thrive. So for me, corruption is a political issue that has affected Nigeria, is continuing to affect Nigeria, and if we do nothing about it, it will remain with us and it will affect the level at which we are going to develop politically as a nation.
Thank you. He said, thank you, Dr. Goodluck. He said something is sweet about corruption. Yes, it's easy. To spend another person's money is very sweet because it's not your sweat. Over to you, madam, on the same question.
Well, some of the issues that I have identified, although Mr. Wale was talking about law. You see, the Constitution is very, very important when we are talking about roadblocks to a strong democracy. If we want to practice democracy properly, we must have an instrument that is able to guide every one of us, the citizens, the elected, the selected, and those who are the workers. If we don't have that constitution, for example, in our constitution, under the fundamental objectives, if you are unemployed, government is supposed to give you unemployment income for you to be able to sustain yourself. There was a day I was asking someone that if you become the governor, are you going to ensure that you give unemployment benefits to the citizens of your state? He said, oh, he has never heard of that. And he doesn't know that anybody is doing it. That if any governor has been doing it, he would definitely look into it. I was happy because the governor was honest enough, which means that a lot of those who are practicing the Constitution may not even know the content of the Constitution they are practicing. And that is not good enough. For example, they talk about in the Constitution, there is care, taking care of the elderly, taking care of the orphans, and so on. How many governments, state governments or local governments do that? So that is why I'm saying that if we are able to have an instrument and we are able to practice that instrument, we will have a strong democracy. Then political economy is also important. We have states that are deprived of their own natural resources. You can imagine what is happening now with waterways bill. When the federal government wants to control every waterways. So if the state should say, okay, go ahead, take the waterways, the next thing they will tell you that you cannot go into your land without a road pass. So that is one problem. So we must be, if you look at the exclusive legislative list, there is this confusion because it's supposed to be exclusive legislative list. It is not exclusive executive list. But executive are using the exclusive legislative list, and the legislators are not stopping them. So this, because what the issue is that the National Assembly is supposed to make laws for the whole country. And that is why it is exclusive legislative list. So we are having issues there. The federal government is thinking that, oh, this is my area. State cannot go into it. And even when the military, when they were going, there is a paragraph within that exclusive legislative list that this is what they are doing at the moment, and the federal government can continue doing it. But if at any time there is a request that part of the exclusive legislative list should be released to the state, it should be done. The National Assembly should do it. But no state has even requested for that. The states are not even, you know, what I have seen in our political system is that they just come and continue to follow the past. Nobody is even asking questions. There was a time I brought up the issue that the federal government is allocating federal revenue without the knowledge of the National Assembly. That is when they say that they will be paying for infrastructure, cost of infrastructure, road infrastructure by taxes that the companies are due to pay, which is entirely wrong. The legislators should have stopped them. So we have seen now that the separation of power, there is no independent separation of power. That is the third roadblock that I have seen. Because once there's the president brought in executive order 007, the legislature should have stopped them. That implementing executive 007 is indirectly allocating resources that should have gone to federation account. So that is the third that I have seen. The fourth one that I have seen is the public fund and spending. In our constitution, there is a provision that we don't have the right to ask questions from the executive how they spend our money. That is totally wrong, you know. And even in 2010, you'll find that there was an amendment that anybody who has been indicted for financial crimes can be qualified to be a president, a governor, a legislator, a chairman. I don't know how the National Assembly could have approved that amendment. So these are things that I have seen as roadblocks to strong democracy. Thank you.
Before I ask Dr. Okediran to contribute, Mrs. Ashaye, does it mean that all those constitutions and bills passage were not well read, or people don't really understand it, for them to be approving things that actually work against even they themselves?
Well, that is the problem we have in Nigeria. Our legislators, they are not serving us. They are serving their political parties. Because if under Section 14(2), it has been stated that citizens must participate in their government, how can they approve such an amendment that people that have been indicted for financial crimes can still qualify to be voted for as president and so on? How could they have done that? Just like Mr. Wale Okediran also said, we also, that is the citizens, we are not being very effective at the time we are supposed to be effective. So this kind of amendment, we should have seen it, we should have cried over it, we should have made sure that it's not approved or is it not passed. So I think the whole thing is that the fact that political parties, our legislators are serving their political parties and not us, citizens, who they are supposed to represent.
Okay, thank you, madam. Before I go
Sorry,
to
Mr. Tunde.
okay,
Yes, I just want to say something. Sorry. Now, what I want to say is very simple. Based on the question you asked, Mrs. Ashaye, sometimes looking at such amendments and bills that are being passed into law, you discover that the reason possibly why this bill was passed into law is because of this same issue that we talk about, corruption. Somebody who has political interest in future and maybe who has embezzled money somewhere in a public office or anywhere, who has interest in politics in future, will allow that kind of bill to pass. The person would not stand against it because somehow, all right, the person would benefit from the passage of such bills and such enactments. And so it all boils down to this same corruption issue that we're talking about. And then quickly, I just want to say something about the issue of unequal resource sharing. In Nigeria, we talk about poverty, and I've looked at Nigeria as a nation, going by the standards, going by the resources, going by the endowments that we have. I wouldn't call us a poor country. The problem we have in Nigeria is that wealth distribution is a very big problem, all right? And this is affecting politics as far as I'm concerned. And then what do I mean by wealth distribution? You find the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. Not because the poor are not getting poorer because they want to be poor. They get poorer because the rich possibly have taken over different means of livelihood, different means of earning income that will have made them to get to a certain level of well-being in the society. So wealth distribution is a very big problem. And when I usually talk to people about the issue of wealth distribution, I usually use an analogy. And that is, I'm borrowing from the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 principle, which says that in an organization, 80% of the job is done by 20% of committed and well-meaning employees. Now, while the remaining 20% of the job is done by 80% of the remaining employees. And I want to borrow that principle and use it to explain this problem of wealth distribution. In Nigeria, I think I can say this authoritatively, that 80% of Nigeria's resources are controlled and managed by 20% of Nigerians.
Less than 20%.
Whereas the remaining 20% of the resources are left to be scrambled upon, are left to be struggled upon by the remaining 80% of Nigerians. Now, if you permit me, I will go further to tell you that this 20% of Nigerians are the people in the political class, in the ruling class. You give them money to carry out constituency projects, the funds are diverted. The funds don't get down to the senatorial and the constituency that they are representing. It's a very, very big problem. Nigeria is rich. We have what it takes, but our problem is wealth distribution. The distribution is not even. It is lopsided, and it is affecting us as far as I am concerned. So for me, wealth distribution is a political issue as far as Nigeria is concerned. And if we don't deal with it, there are chances that we will not be able to advance politically as we should.
Thank you, Dr. Goodluck. Now, next to, meanwhile, point of note, please. Wale Okediran is a medical doctor. Dr. Wale Okediran, and he's an author. He's a politician. In fact, I can listing his pedigree like that. It goes on and on and on and on. So he's a doctor too. So and he's been in the House of Rep. So he has tested and tested what it all involves and everything that is. So let's hear from him how it goes. What is responsible for it? Let's hear you out, Dr. Wale Okediran. Can you unmute your mic, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Well, I think I will first start by saying that it's not as if we are not making progress in Nigeria. We are making progress in some sectors. Unfortunately, the areas where we are not making progress has probably overwhelmed us to the fact that we can't even see the development that is taking place again. For example, we can talk of communication issues. Most of us now, I mean, let me just give myself as an example. I'm in my office here in Accra, Ghana, and I'm able to participate in this kind of discussion with you. I mean, so we can say that is some modicum of communication, I mean, in development. Then we can also talk of financial transactions. I remember in those days, before you can send money abroad, you may have to go and wait in the bank for weeks before your allocation will be permitted. Your phone, you can press a few buttons and send money to anywhere in the world. So we are making progress, and I don't want us to see Nigeria as a hell. When you go abroad, you travel out of this country of Nigeria, and you see what is happening around you. You discover that every country has its own problem. I mean, as big as and advanced as the US is, you and I know what is happening today, from the president to the management of COVID-19 pandemic, even to the UK, our corona masters. Brexit has caused a lot of havoc to the extent that they had about 3 prime ministers within a sort of a few months. So don't let us castigate ourselves and think that we are the worst species in this world. I would say that I still want to go back to my original position that we need to encourage more people to be involved in politics. The more people you have, the better the price of democracy as of today because of that. Well, if you allow that, was a very good practice before I went to politics. And the reason I went there was because I was a private physician to the late Attorney General of the Federation, and that was Chibola. And I used to go to his house to take care of him. And anytime I went there, I would meet him in the middle of political meeting, and then I would be laughing, making fun of politicians. I would say, look at these people. These are politicians. See the way this one is even talking. I used to make fun of them. On the chief coming one day and said, look, Wale, if you continue to make fun of politicians and politics, you make progress. It's people like you who refuse to leave your comfort zone. You middle class people, you don't want to leave your comfort zone, and so you'll be ruled by people who are of inferior quality to you. And I went in, and I wasn't scared about all this. Many of these issues about unless you go to you're a cultist, you can't be a politician. It's a lie. Or you have to carry a gun, you have to have talks. All those are just to scare people away from politics. If you go there with good intention and you look for people of like minds, you work together, you make progress. The other issue is we also need to tell our people to reduce the pressure they put on their elected officials. The demand is too much. It's not when you abuse politicians or accuse them of being corrupt. Don't forget that some people send them there. Before I went into National Assembly, I knew what people told me at home, telling me that, look, you are going there, what you are going there for is not just to make laws. If you like, go and speak English. If you don't come home every weekend and take care of us, you are a failure. And so that is the problem. The pressure also politicians go through from the electorate is enormous. So much that they are even afraid to come home. And when they are coming home, they have to look for money and put in their pockets. And that money will finish within 2 days. So for me, it's a collective issue, politics and development. I will stop there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wale Okediran. I actually have other questions, but then we have to leave room for audience to ask their own question when we finish. So let's go to the next question. That's the question number Number 4, I'm directing this question to Mrs. Ashaye. Are you with me, madam? Hello, are you with me, madam?
Yes, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay, I'm going to say the question.
I'm with you.
Okay, this is the brief about the question. The best definition of development is a process that creates growth, progress, positive change, or the addition of physical and economic, environmental, social, and demographic components. Like there's an echo, please, if anybody's, if you are putting on 2 devices, remove one. But it seems that Nigerian development has been stagnating and has been a daunting task since 1960 rather, even with different political systems. The question is, what do you think is responsible for this? Taking into consideration leadership, rule of law, the airline, the Nigerian people, law enforcement, enforcement of laws, ethnicity issue, corruption, African DNA, religion, and lack of developmental structures. Those are the questions. For the benefit of the audience, I'm going to pose the question to the chatting panel section so that they can see it. And the same thing for everybody. So, what do you think is responsible for this, madam?
I think your question, we have answered some of the questions that you asked.
Yes.
You know, in some of the answers we gave, even though Dr. Okediran said that we should not be abusing or putting blames on politicians, but because we are assessing, you know, there is no way if there is a blame that should go to them that will not go to them. But more importantly, leadership is a problem in our country, because if we looked at the last election, there were so many people who wanted to be president, but they could have gone into PDP or APC, but because of 20 million naira cost of nomination paper, they started to form their own political parties, you know. So that is making the finding of leaders very difficult, because we are having political parties owners who dictate the tune, who dictate who becomes governor, who becomes president, who becomes chairman of a local government. So our leadership, not finding the right leadership, can be tied to the monopoly of the political parties and the issue of godfatherism. And I think Dr. Kelechi mentioned that earlier. So for us to be able to remove that, and that is what I said, that sometimes if you look at some countries' constitution, it's so spelled out that becoming president, becoming a governor, becoming chairman is not for the political parties to determine. For example, I will in another area, I will mention how we can actually improve on our own traditional administration to be able to get leaders. Then the rule of law. We have a situation where some people are above the law. There is a journalist now who is going through Sharia law, and they say he's likely to face death penalty. And the journalist said that if you want to kill him, first of all, kill the governor who wants to sign my death penalty, because he has done even worse than I did. But who is going to look at that? So that is one aspect. When we look at the elites, you know, I have seen over the years that Nigerians, some Nigerians, not all of us, very few Nigerians, they are not even up to 1% of our population. They stepped into the shoes of the British people and they now colonized the rest of us. You know, by telling us this is what we have to do, this is what the person we have to accept as the president. The president must come from this place, the president must, you know, giving us all kinds of conditions. So our elites have not even helped the matter. They want to remain in office till death do them part, you know, which is very unfortunate for us. Then when we look at the Nigerian people, we have already said it, that poverty is actually impeding our progress, our national development. Poverty, because anybody who has not eaten maybe 2 times a day or even 1 time a day cannot sit down and say, oh, let me innovate this. Oh, let me add this and that together, maybe I can get this. And it was very unfortunate that one lawmaker in the National Assembly could be talking to Nigerians and be saying that, how would nobody can revolt in Nigeria. How would they ever revolt? Is it the organizer who has not even eaten? Is it the middle class that is still looking for how to pay for school fees or rent? That kind of statement shouldn't be coming from somebody who is receiving taxpayers' money. So we have problems with you know, the attitude of our allies towards the Nigerian people, and that is putting them at the lower ebb of poverty so that they will not be able to contribute to national development. And when you talk about enforcement of law, we have seen it. Recently, we saw that some Igbos were killed. They were just praying, and even if they were in a room discussing, they have every right to stay and discuss. Why will an army officer go and kill? The army is supposed to be for external engagement. Why would they be engaged in internal affairs and be killing people? So these are issues that I think that we need to address if we want national development. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. It seems like this question spiral around so many of the questions in what we are going to do. So it's like I want to ask before the next question. That is from Dr. Okediran. So anybody that answers the one, you can now relate it to the previous question. Political indicators are measures of political participation, civil liberties, and human and labor rights. As our population increases, so is the interest in our political systems from the populace, and also increase in political participation. But the ratio of participation before an election and after that election shows downward and weakening interest and disintegrated political participation. And this is the question. Why are there so much hatred and uncooperative attitude within the political system that after winners emerge, which often leads to non-development of Nigerian nation? Over to you, Dr. Okediran.
Yes, thank you. I think this is political education that we need among our people, to let us know, to remind people that the purpose of leadership or political position is not for personal gain, but is to develop the country. Because if you get into power and you realize that you are empowered to move the country forward, you can reach across to even your opponents who you feel have the kind of skill that you need that will help you to move the country forward. It has happened in advanced countries, whereby a government will even go to the opposition and pick one or two people to head some positions. So this is kind of attitude we need to change. This winner takes all attitude. We also need to, and then we go back to the debate on whether it's only political parties that should decide who should be elected into office. Are we not ripe for the issue of independence candidature? I mean, in the US now, I know that there's allowance for independent candidature. That is, if you don't want to join any political party, want to go on your own, then you are free to go. But here, unless you join the political party, you cannot aspire to political office. And it has been mentioned that there are so many landmines among political parties. The issue of godfatherism is there. It's big, it's deeply entrenched in many political parties. I mean, you have to see some, and then you also have some, they call them mafia in the political party, or they call them all kind of names. You have to go through them before you are now put forward to be elected into office. You have to find a way to circumvent this one. Some years ago, I think when it was either Rwanda or Tanzania, one of the East African countries, the idea of political parties was jettisoned and to what they call movements. You don't need a political party to go into office. You can organize yourself into movements, or you can even have independent candidature. These are areas where we should look into and see how we can move forward. But having said that, we have to understand that political development is closely tied to our economy. We were depending, I think we are still dependent, almost 90% on revenue coming from crude oil. And this has affected us seriously because with the downturn in the price of petroleum, we know what we have suffered in this country. And when you have downturn in the economy, the first victims are the poor, the downtrodden, the people on the streets. They are the ones who face this issue first before you go to the political leaders who have some shock absorbers or arrangements to take care of themselves. So in everything we do, we need to make sure that our economy is buoyant and that Nigerians can afford the basic needs of livelihood. They have public transportation, clean supply, access to regular health. With this, in the same traction of to those who are going there just to line their pockets, we now open the place, we open the space to all those who are going to serve. Pelosi, the U.S. The speaker, she's somebody, even Trump, the President Trump of the U.S. These are very rich people who went to government only to serve. But the reverse here is the case. It's the opposite. I mean, the reverse is the case in Nigeria. People who never owned any property in their lives before go into politics, and before a year, they have mansions all over the world. So I think these are issues we should look into. I have to apologize to the moderator, please, that I need to go at this point. Like I said earlier on, the Nigerian speaker, that's Honorable Femi Gbadamamila, is currently visiting Accra, and I have to join the team in the Ghana High Commission on its way to the airport back to Nigeria. I will answer any question that you send to my inbox or my email after now. But I just have to leave you, and I apologize for this. Thank you very much.
You're fine. Thank you so much. We really thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wale.
Before we only have 3 questions more. Just give us 5 more minutes, Dr. Wale, before you go. The audience, if you have any question, please can you signify? Audience, please, just raise up your hand, then I will call upon you. If you have any questions, there are so many people posting questions here. The audience. Anybody from the audience for any question? Or any question for Dr. Wale Okediran before he leaves? From the audience, please. Taufik Lawal, you mentioned you were asking some questions. Can you unmute your mic and speak? Anybody that has any question, please. Okay, for now, maybe no, maybe later on. So if we have any question, we'll send it to your inbox. Thank you so much. You are
Thank
free.
you. Thank you. Appreciate.
Okay. I want to, the next question, I want to, the remaining, thank you, yes sir. The remaining 3 questions will be between, it's one after the other now, not for everyone. And this goes to Dr. Goodluck. That's, yes, Dr. Goodluck, Nnorom Goodluck. Nigerian economic development and potential is constrained by many structural issues, including inadequate infrastructures, tariff and non-tariff barriers to trade, obstacles to investment, lack of confidence in currency valuation, and limited foreign exchange capacity. Now, there is a question. What are the causes and the problems of Nigerian economy as it has various economic and political measures from as far back as 1960? Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tunde. Nigeria, as we know, like I keep on saying, Nigeria is a great nation. We have a lot of potentials, but the challenges affecting there are challenges affecting Nigeria's developmental potential, and looking at some of these problems, like Mr. Ashaye said sometime on this presentation, that we have actually answered few of some of these questions, but on my own, from my own knowledge, talking about causes and problems of Nigerian economy. All right. First things first, I would say there is a problem with orientation. And when I talk about orientation, I'm talking about behavioral, moral, and if possible, attitudinal orientation. How is this an issue? Back in the days while we're growing up, we're told that young people were singing it during the assembly line. There's a song we used to sing that what we understood from that song is that we are the leaders of tomorrow. And that kind of orientation has been in our head for a long time. But when you look at what is happening today in Nigeria, we begin to see that it was as if the people who composed that song so many years ago lied to us. Because in the Nigerian political sphere or in the Nigerian economy, you begin to see a situation where young people are not given the opportunity to participate in maybe politics, or you see young people are not allowed to have a say when it comes to political issues as it affects the Nigerian nation. We don't have a say. We don't have right to decide that this is what we want as a nation. I'm speaking from the perspective of the young person. And how is this tied to the orientation? The orientation we had in the past is that one day, as young people, we would grow to become leaders of tomorrow. But looking at what is happening today, it seems like we have been lied to, and that has affected our orientation. And then because we believe that there is a lie, you begin to see a lot of people look for different ways and means to get themselves maybe into politics or get themselves into the affairs or into public affairs. So orientation is a problem, and it's an issue, and it has caused a lot of problem for us. Another thing, as far as I'm concerned, is affecting Nigerian economy, all right, has to do with leadership. Now, talking about leadership as an issue affecting Nigerian economy, you begin to refer to the past. People want to say, oh, where are the kind of leadership we had in Nigeria so many years ago? people want to go back to what is obtainable, because what they are seeing today is not what is expected. And people want to be comparing the past of Nigeria to Nigeria's present, talking about a situation where before Nigeria could match the dollar at a very competitive rate. But in today's Nigeria, we find a situation where the dollar is doing well against the Nigerian naira, and then we'll begin to see that somehow our leadership has a role, negative role to play in that. And what do I mean by that? We have locally made goods in Nigeria, but when it is time to begin to maybe equip our National Assembly or make provisions for make some purchases for government offices, we prefer to go to China. We prefer to go to other nations and, you know, buy from them, neglecting the local content that we have here. So us have not lived up to example. Like we should lead by example. And what it means is that if I call myself a leader and I want Nigeria to grow, I need to begin to look for locally made alternatives to some of these items that we import. I want to commend the administration of President Buhari for going as far as, you know, placing a ban on certain imported items. That is a very good one. I'll use rice for example. When rice importation was banned, we began to see a lot of influx of locally produced rice, even though some of them are sandy. But a lot of people came up on board to say that yes, we are into this, we are into that, just because the importation of rice was banned. And so there is need for us to look at our leadership again. It's a problem. Like number one, I said orientation. Number two, I'm talking about leadership. It's also a problem as far as the Nigerian economy is concerned. Then, talking about the development of the Nigerian economy, we need to also look at our educational institutions, because whether we like it or not, the person who is going to become leader tomorrow must have gone through, must have gone through the university education. And chances are that some of us that have gone to university in Nigeria will become leaders tomorrow. And the question now is, what kind of values did we get through our university days? What kind of education is being taught in the Nigerian higher educational system? And if Nigeria is doing well in terms of education, I begin to ask the question that what kind of infrastructures are in place to ensure that the right kind of education are imputed into our young people? Education is a very big problem as far as I'm concerned in Nigeria. I lecture at Babcock University, a private institution, and I know the challenges that we go through. Sometimes we begin to compare ourselves with some people who are in the public education system. We begin to hear a lot of issues. Recently, the Vice Chancellor of Lagos was removed and replaced with an acting Vice Chancellor, University of Lagos. And, you know, when I was reading about some of his, you know, acts, I begin to hear that he engaged in corrupt practices, the sign of contracts without approval from the governing council, and a lot of issues that are leveled against him. That is even one out of the myriad issues that go on in the Nigerian educational system. And so sometimes young people who go through some of these trainings and see some of their lecturers and vice chancellors engage in this kind of practices are expected to one day become public officers. And then the question is, what kind of education did they receive? And how is that going to help Nigeria? As far as I'm concerned, Nigerian economy is affected by our orientation. 2, the kind of leadership we have in place. 3, the educational system. The educational system is faulty, and this has to be checkmated. If not, developing our economy, political development might be a dream that we may not wake up from. But I hope that one day we'll wake up from such dreams, and we will hope that, yes, we have achieved what we want to achieve as a nation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Goodluck. Time is really now really well against us. We only have 2 questions more. And these questions, I want it to be answered within 2-3 minutes. And this goes to you, madam. Question number 7. sustainable development is the idea that human society must live and meet their needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. But now our future generations are at risk with what's happening with the youth now. High unemployment rate, Yahoo boys, kidnapping, nationalizing, corruption, circumvention of justice, and so on and so forth. Madam, now this is the question. What and how do you think the government can do to set things right? Over to you, madam. Unmute your mic, please.
Sustainable development means that every one of us must hands must be on deck. It is not for the government alone. It is not for the people alone. If we look at the liberalization policy of the World Bank and IMF during the Obasanjo regime, that is what actually killed our economy. Because while Nigeria was busy buying from those who can make it better or who can make it, other people were developing their own economy. And we lost control of our economy that even toothpick we cannot manufacture. Everything was being dumped here. So if we are going to have sustainable development, we must be determined as a country, to have national interest first. Like Dr. Kelechi said, why should we be able to manufacture? Why is it that we go and buy something outside when we can manufacture here? Now, what the central bank is doing now during this COVID, the central bank, stood by the people and is still standing by the people. If central bank has been doing that for the past 20 years, we will not be where we are today. So these are institutions that government must ensure they are allowed to have independence of thought, because the program they have brought up now to make sure that SMEs are financed so that at least they can help the economy is very good. And if they can sustain that kind of program, that SMEs, but I wouldn't want central bank to allow commercial banks, because when the central bank gives them money, commercial banks will go and be, lending at the rate that is even higher than what central bank expect them. Central bank expect them to have a single digit. But when the money gets to the commercial bank, they will be talking about 15%, whereas they got the money almost free from central bank. This is an area that government should allow the independence of central bank so that they can roll out economic plans that will continue to help those who are producing, the agri, all kind of all the sectors in the economy. Secondly, we have to budget within our means. National Assembly should stop approving loans. House State of Assembly should stop approving loans. All the loans we have so far, what development have we used them for? Let us cut our coat according to our cloth. Don't let us say because we are big, then we should be having budgets everywhere. Whatever resources we have, let us budget within that resource and then be able to do something tangible. Then government must be able to determine what activities should go to private sector. As at the moment, government is competing with the private sector. Government is almost in every sphere of commercial activities. That is wrong. And I would like a situation that for us to be able to have sustainable development, when we have laws, we abide with the laws. You cannot have a budget that even before the year ends, you have already bought another 2 subsidiary budgets again, and then at the end of the day, we will not know how much total budget is. You can see that during Jonathan, we were talking about 4.2 trillion. Now during Buhari, within such a short space of time, it's 11 trillion. This 11 trillion, we need to sponsor the budget by taking loans. So this attitude, we have to make sure that our National Assembly is able to curb excesses of the executive. That is important. I have mentioned before that if we must have sustainable development, we must have control of the legislators, the executive, and the judiciary. These are a few points that I believe that if we empower the people economically, if we have the right environment, if we are able to educate and train our people, is important. A lot of our graduates, they need to be trained, but government has not developed any the enabling environment for them to get trained. When you look at the construction industry, we are hiring people from outside, and we have paid for our students, our graduates. We spent money on their education. If we don't spend money on their training, how are they going to be useful to the nation? So government must make sure, either instead of this National Youth Corps Service, we extend the National Youth Corps Service by 1 year. We make sure that once they get out of the university, they go straight into their professional training. Whether you are an engineer, you are whatever profession you have gone through in the university, let government sponsor that for 2 years. Let them give them the basic allowances, so that at least those who will train them will not have the headache of having to look for salaries. That one is important. If we don't allow our people to fail and pass, we cannot have sustainable development. Construction industry, railway, there is nowhere that we, even technology, we have people who can develop this country, but we have not been able to, develop the enabling environment for them to survive and thrive. That is my contribution.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Ashaye. This is the last question. I don't want to ask the same question from Dr. Goodluck because of our time. This last question will be answered by both of you, and just in 3 minutes maximum, please. This is for you to start. You will start with Dr. Goodluck. Nigeria is one of Africa's 2 wealthiest development economies. But according to World Bank and IMF, Africa has become home to the world's greatest concentration of extreme poverty. I mean, one is that the continent will host 9 out of 10 of the world's poorest people within the next 12 years. In the next 12 years, that will be on or before 2032. The question is this: if you, Dr. Goodluck, you are to be the leader of this country, what solutions to Africa underdevelopment will you prefer? Over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Tunde. A quick one. First things first, I have to create an enabling environment that will drive public-private partnership. As a member of the public, I have to provide the infrastructure that will make private initiatives to thrive, while I just monitor to ensure that promises, mandates are met. That is number one. Number two, I would encourage the development of local content. A quick one, so many years ago, the Chinese would go to America to learn, and then they learned a lot of technology related courses. And today, China is the #1 country when it comes to technology. Even America now goes to China for them to help them develop a lot of things, and even Nigeria. So I have to encourage local content by sponsoring our graduates, our students to go to these developed nations like China, learn what they are doing, come back home and implement. I know time will not permit, but these two is exactly what I'm going to do if I'm a leader.
Thank you. Over to you, madam. What will you do?
Well, for me, I would like to address political, economic, and social issues. I will ensure we modernize our traditional democracy, because all this borrowed system of governance is killing us in Africa. Time will not permit me to state exactly how I can apply the traditional democracy, but suffices to say that it's a system that will ensure equal share of political power among regions, zones, states, and communities. And there will be no marginalization of any minority group. I will try as much as possible to remove political apathy. Political power will be obtained as far as normally political power is either through electoral contest or hereditary succession. So that hereditary succession is what I intend to use for traditional democracy. Because if we know that we have 6 zones and we are going to say presidents come from northwest, after that we come, we'll go to southeast, after that we go to south, we'll go to north central, after that we come to southwest. So we can use hereditary succession to make sure that there's no problem, because this electoral contest is very costly and we cannot afford it. It's enough, even what we spend on electoral contest is enough, is enough budget for other countries that they survive on. So these are issues. Economically, for me, I will first of all ask IMF and World Bank to please give Africa 10 years leave so that we can chart a new way of economic development for ourselves. The same people that are advising us are the same people that will tell us that we are the poorest in the whole world. So that should be a minus for them. And as the Minister for Agri said, for past 35 years, IMF has been telling us to devalue our currency on a weekly basis. So for me, they have not been helpful. It would be nice for us economically to have African Bank, the African Development Bank. I will want it to be a bank that consists of African governments alone or Africans alone. Because as of now, you'll find that the United States has share, Europe has share, and even the share of Africa is less than all these countries outside Africa. So I will make sure that we stop receiving donations, we stop receiving grants, we stop receiving loans from countries outside Africa. I will make sure that economically Africa can come together and have a strong economy. Socially, I will ensure we practice constitutional democracy, where all benefits due to citizens are enshrined in the Constitution. So there is no way any politician will shy away from whatever is supposed to do. We will not need manifesto again, because the Constitution has already contained. Let them come and do what they have to do within the Constitution. So these are, and I will, as much as possible, create an egalitarian society where people are empowered to meet their needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's
Nice
really
one.
been enlightening. Nice one. Nice one. Over to you, the audience. If you have any question, please, this is your time now. Of course, there are some questions and points here. Maybe everybody should go to the chatting platform. Chatting section of your screen. There is one Malam Jamil that says that all points mentioned, in my view, are responsible. In my view, what are responsible in my view are bad leadership as being the bane of our growth. The elites, the great problem, religion and ethnicity issues must be curbed, even eradicated totally for the nation to be developed. This is what we have been discussing anyway. I mean, this is what some of you have preferred as the solution. Another one says, this is from Mohammed Mustafa Yusuf. I disagree that young people like other segments, women, middle class, downtrodden, etc., aren't allowed to participate in the political sphere. How? The fact remains that those segments, young people, women, middle class, and downtrodden at all, should realize that freedom isn't free. They have integrated themselves in the system, into the political sphere, and participate actively, and also determine who governs them, and even possibly get to the power of position. This one is saying that, like, it's part of what we discussed, that all of us are responsible. When we're saying the youth are not allowed, that we are all responsible because we are allowed, we are the one that nominated these people, that voted for them to be in those power and to misbehave. Any other questions? Anything from the audience? Please, if you have any question, you can unmute your mic and ask. Mohammed Yusuf Mustafa, do you have anything to say?
Thank you, moderator. Well, just as I've said earlier, there's just one solution to all this problem to me. And the solution remains that we have to change our attitude. Attitude in the sense that we should not see politics as a career whereby we call some people politicians. Since the country has adopted that system of government, we should all be interested in politics. And since we have not changed our constitution, and the only way anybody can be elected into office is through election, that means that everybody must be interested in that election. And we should find a way of getting ourselves integrated in one political party or the other. And we will see that within few period of time, all this problem will be a thing of the past. Again, we should also bear it at the back of our mind that we have to be patient, because that's another problem we have. We want to get to where America is now within just 21 years of our democracy. No, politics is evolved. It is an evolving process. It is a gradual process. So we will find all kind of manner, just like Dr. Okediran said, you understand? A lot of us, we say we don't want to get involved in what those guys are doing. See, politics, election is a game of number. So we can't isolate ourselves. We can't say it is the elite. The elite. Look at the grammar we have been speaking all since, you understand? But when it is time for election, we will be at our, many of us will not even vote. That's the problem. And we'll be blaming the organizer who becomes a councillor. What policy do you want him to put in place? He cannot give what he doesn't have. So that is why all of us must see politics as a way of life in Nigeria, first and foremost. We should all get integrated into the process, such that when there is any issue, we are all there to agree and disagree, and so that it will not be that some people are the House of Assembly or National Assembly enacting law that is not going to benefit all of us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yusuf. Any other contribution or question? Okay, nobody. Before we draw the curtain on it on today's program. There is just one or two things I want to mention. We'll send you the streaming, the recorded video of this program. We'll send it to all of you, number one. Number two, before the end of the year, too, we're going to produce a magazine that covers all the programs we have run. This is the third edition. So everyone will appear in the magazine, and your suggestions, your contributions will be there in the magazine. It could be in form of a magazine or a book. We have not decided there yet. You understand? But a magazine will make it colorful. A book will, I don't know. A book will make it, once some people see book, they won't like to read. But if it's a magazine, you know, people who don't want to read. But if it's a magazine with different things, with whatever you suggested and put into graphical form, it becomes something. But when it becomes a book, people will run away. Again, we're going to do a documentary again on this issue. By the time or before the end of the year, we'll do documentaries. So, but when the time comes, we'll let you know. Then all these things, once we send it to you, please share it with into your social media. Now also, if you are not on our platform, there's our platform. I've posted the link on the chat venue, on the chat section. So it is for where the WhatsApp platform where you can join. I told you there's a structure we're building, which is a website, and hopefully before the end of the year it will come up. When we want to do our launching of the website of the structure, is then we'll do the first launching, inaugural launching of the magazine and some documentaries too. Then also, with time we're going to have some other. We've been inviting some senators. In fact, somebody, Pastor Tejuade, who know Pastor Tejuade? The man that just lost his wife, that pastor that just lost his wife, is supposed to be among the panelists, but because he's been so busy and someone of that is, he won't be. We've tried to invite some, in fact, some senators or House of Rep honorables want to come, but you know, most of them are. They don't know the kind of question that will posted to them. So most of them have to cancel it at the end of the day, before the end of the, at the end of the day. Then all the participants, the three of you and the last one we did, all will receive certificates. I've not done the one for the last edition, but the 7, I'm making all of the 7 or 8 people, they will receive certificates of participation into this. And our subsequent one, we are going to be doing this program once in a month now. So the next one will be in October. We'll communicate it with you. With this, I would like to hand over to you to Prince Bolade Olukokun, who will give the vote of thanks and round up the curtain. Over to you, Prince Bolade.
Wow, it's been a very, very good day. And I really enjoyed much of the discussion. I would like to thank all our panelists. Dr. Nnorom Goodluck, you are appreciated in delving into so many issues and been bothering me and able to get some insight and deeper insight. This is Morenike, Tejuade, Babington-Ashaye. You are appreciated. Thank you for all the depth of your knowledge and everything you mentioned that we want to have been doing in Nigeria that we are not doing. You are really appreciated now. Dr. Okediran, that's why your tax, thank you that you are able to make it. And to all the participants, we are grateful. Thank you that you are here. There are so many things that we will be talking about more. We hope you are able to join us next week as we find more solution to the problem of this and our big country.
Thank you very much.
Everybody, thank you. You are appreciated.
Thank you.
Bye.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Although the signal has been a little bit somehow, but we all appreciated you, and then you can now exit. So whatever it is we have your details. We communicate with you. Thank you. Nice having you around. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you, Mr. Tunde. Thank you. God bless you.
Congratulations for a successful program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you.
Babington.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well done. I greet you.
Oderiran, thank you.
Oderinde, thank you.
Sorry, Odediri. You know, we have two Oderin, Oderinde and Odediran. That's why we see we are Oderinde. Thank you, Mr. Oderinde.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Oderinde,
yes, ma.
Yes, sorry, this is outside. If there are other people you want us to invite that are prominent, please, you can get in contact with me. You understand? If you have some contact with high-profile people, let me know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all. It's been a great meeting.
It's wonderful.
Thanks.